Imagine being in love with someone who shares your deepest passions, only to discover that your darkest obsession has turned deadly. A woman obsessed with serial killers, crime documentaries, and true crime fan culture didn't just fantasize, she acted. In 2022, the UK was stunned by the chilling case of Shaye Groves, a seemingly quirky woman with a flair for theatrics, who stabbed her boyfriend over 20 times in a jealous rage. But this wasn't just a crime of passion. This was obsession, cosplay, and fantasy colliding with grim reality. Welcome to Crimes Unfolded, where we unravel the darkest crimes that defy belief. Today, we're diving deep into the mind of a woman whose love for true crime took a terrifying turn. This is the story of Shaye Groves, a self-proclaimed crime nerd turned cold-blooded killer. What led her down this path? Was she acting out a fantasy, or was this premeditated murder disguised as madness? Let's unfold this chilling tale. The killer behind the curtain. Who is Shaye Groves? Shaye Groves was 27 years old at the time of the murder. Living in Havant, Hampshire in the UK, Shaye was known to her friends as quirky, gothic, and eccentric. She had a fascination with serial killers that went far beyond the norm. Her bedroom was a shrine to her obsession, portraits of infamous murderers like Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer, shelves stacked with true crime books, and even a decorative coffin. Her appearance mirrored her dark interests, heavy eyeliner, gothic attire, and a fixation with knives and weapons. But beneath this dark exterior, people say she was charismatic, funny, and deeply insecure. She ran a small business making gothic home decor and had a young daughter, who she seemed to love deeply. But as investigators later discovered, Shaye blurred the lines between fantasy and reality. She didn't just study killers, she idolized them. Frankie Fitzgerald, aged 25, was a father and a man with a troubled past. He had served time in prison and had a history of drug-related offenses. Despite this, friends described him as trying to turn his life around. He met Shaye Groves online, and their relationship quickly turned intense, sexual, and toxic. Frankie moved in with Shaye, and their relationship took on disturbing dynamics. They engaged in BDSM, filmed their sexual encounters, and often argued violently. Shaye often suspected Frankie of cheating and became increasingly possessive and paranoid. Little is known about Shaye's early childhood, but testimony during the trial revealed she had a history of unstable relationships and mental health struggles. She was described as manipulative, controlling, and sometimes violent. But her love for serial killers wasn't just a phase, it defined her personality. She treated crime stories as entertainment, often quoting murderers and referencing famous killings casually. She reportedly told friends that she liked the idea of being remembered like a serial killer. When people would comment on her macabre room, she would laugh it off, saying, "I just love crime." On the night of July 17, 2022, things escalated fatally. Shaye had recently discovered messages on Frankie's phone, texts to other women. This triggered a spiral of jealousy and rage. In the early hours of the morning, she stabbed Frankie Fitzgerald 22 times in the neck and chest while he lay in bed. Forensic analysis revealed that many of the wounds were deep, forceful, and targeted vital areas. The most chilling part. After the murder, Shaye called her friend and laughed about what she had done. She claimed Frankie had abused her and that it was an act of self-defense. She even FaceTimed a friend to show the body and confessed casually, as if it were a scene from one of the true crime shows she admired. She then began cleaning the crime scene and planning an alibi. She tried to manipulate text messages on Frankie's phone, making it appear like he was alive after the incident. But her efforts were sloppy and disjointed. Police were called after a concerned friend tipped them off. When officers arrived, they found Frankie's body lying on the bed, blood everywhere, and Shaye in a disturbingly calm state. The trial of Shaye Groves began in early 2023 at Winchester Crown Court. It became clear that this was not a case of simple self-defense. Prosecutors painted a picture of a woman consumed by fantasy and control. They said she had acted out a plan she had long fantasized about, committing the perfect murder. During the trial, the court was shown evidence of her bedroom, filled with knives, replica guns, handcuffs, and a bookshelf of crime novels. Her diary entries revealed a disturbing mindset, with notes about killing and staging crimes. Prosecutors also pointed to her obsession with serial killers and how she idolized their infamy. The defense argued that Frankie was abusive and that Shaye had acted in self-defense. They claimed she feared for her life after a violent relationship. However, medical reports and forensic evidence did not support this claim. The number and nature of the stab wounds, combined with the post-murder behavior, painted a different picture. Perhaps most damning was the fact that she had filmed some of their sexual encounters without consent and seemed to enjoy dominating and controlling Frankie. After a 3-week trial, the jury found Shaye Groves guilty of murder. In February 2023, she was sentenced to life in prison, with a minimum term of 23 years. Judge Timothy Kerr said, "You have shown no genuine remorse. Your fascination with murder and control is deeply disturbing." The case shocked the UK and the global true crime community. It forced a reflection on how far fascination can go, and what happens when someone turns fantasy into blood-soaked reality. Shaye Groves is currently serving her sentence in a UK prison. She has appealed her conviction, claiming she was wrongly portrayed and that evidence of abuse was overlooked. However, her appeal has so far not succeeded. Reports suggest she has continued to maintain her gothic persona behind bars, even becoming somewhat of a celebrity among prison inmates. But her notoriety on the outside is a cautionary tale, a grim warning of what can happen when obsession overrides reality. From a bedroom filled with horror icons to a crime that mirrored the twisted stories she idolized, the story of Shaye Groves is a terrifying intersection of obsession, fantasy, and fatal attraction. This wasn't just murder, it was a performance, rehearsed and delivered with chilling calm. Subscribe to Crimes Unfolded for more real-life cases where truth is stranger and darker than fiction. Because sometimes, the scariest monsters aren't in horror movies, they're hiding in plain sight. Until next time, stay safe, and keep your eyes open. You never know who's watching.